Alright guys, so the much awaited video that I promised about 3 weeks ago, probably more, is happening now. It is the colour match and colour grade tutorial. So we're going to jump straight into it. Alright, so we have 3 cameras, 3 different outputs from each camera. We have the Sony A37, we have the Canon 700D, which is my main workhorse, and then we have the drone DJI Phantom 4 4K. Going into the colour profile of the Sony, we have sort of just the standard straight out box format that it comes with. As you can see, it is a lot higher contrast, a lot higher saturation, and the darks are quite pronounced already. Whereas if you look at the likes of the Canon profile, it's a much flatter image. Now I've installed a custom setting. I've installed Cine Style, which you can get for free in the link down below. You just enter your email and they send you the download link. It flattens the image out, makes it a lot less contrasty, a lot less saturated. I have then pushed that even further with slightly de-sharpening the image. Moving on to the DJI video that shoots in various formats. I have it in a custom profile look of Prologue. Now this means that, as you can see, it is a very flat image. All of the colours are kind of washed out. You mainly see from the green car, the likes of the red top here. It is very washed out and very, very flat. The only real darkness is within the windows where it was absolutely pitch black. The matching of the Sony and the Canon are quite easy due to the fact that I've done it a few times myself, and in general all you need to mess around with is the likes of the contrast, the highlights, the shadows and the whites. You don't really need to touch the blacks or the exposure as such, unless you're shooting in absolute raw. You can mess around with the exposure there if you've set it up slightly wrong. We'll start with this shot and we'll match it against this shot. So with this one, you'll want to bring the blues in a slight bit. You can mess around with temperature, it's much more of a style issue, and overall quite balanced as well. With our contrast, we'll bring that down. It automatically kind of flattens the image a wee bit. You then go into your highlights. There are quite a lot of harsh highlights in this, so you bring them down. Jump back and forward between the two. The highlights in that one are very pronounced, as in here. So really, you could get away with leaving the highlights up slightly, bring the shadows up, and you're getting a lot closer. You'll never get it precisely accurate. There's quite a lot of magenta in that one, in fact. You only want minute changes, you don't want anything drastic, because you don't want it to look, for example, like that. You don't want anything too drastic like that, so we'll keep it around the 15. And I'd say that that is looking quite close. Maybe a touch more blue, tiniest bit more magenta. I could mess around with it all day. It's never going to get fully close to it, as I said. However, if you look at it there, then look at that, and if we turn off the basic correction, you'll see the difference from there to there to this. Moving on to matching other profiles. Now these were 2 shots that I shot in Wick, so this is down by Walago Steps. Recommend you go there. This was up where we were staying. So yeah, you'll see the main difference here. There's a lot more contrast, even with it being Canon and DJI footage. There's a lot more contrast in the Canon than there is in the DJI. So we will play around with the Canon one, bring that down, highlights to there, shadows pretty non-existent. So you're pretty much there already. You can even desaturate slightly, which gets it closer. Yeah. So that's that there. Now, with that, you're probably thinking, what do you do in an actual sequence? Now, setup one, this is taken directly from my previous videos. So taking that into consideration, it's not the greatest editing, it's not the greatest shooting overall. It's actually my highest viewed video, however, and if you are interested in looking at it, it's up here. It got featured on their Twitter page, the place that I went to. We've got this here, still very contrasted, so we will go through it and do the first step, which is the colour match. So bear with me for 2 seconds. Prime example of the blacks working here is if you look at this tree here, and you just want to kind of match it to the rest of it. Brought the saturation down in all of them. However, moving on to the next ones, you go into your new item tab, go up to adjustment layer, it'll come up with the adjustment layer that is already set. And you proceed with that. It'll be the perfect sizing to your composition already, and you draw that over. Pull it to the full length of your clip, or the area that you want to colour grade to that specific colour. You can mix colour grades between areas, giving different feels to different things, but that's a whole different video in itself. So you can put the contrast up. We're basically putting the same contrast over everything. You can bring the highlights back up slightly, drop that shadowing down so that you bring back the shadows in here and your dark spots. I quite like deep shadows. Bring up the image a wee bit. Blacks, you can crush it a lot with the black slider, however I tend to sit around the 30 to 40, we'll go 45. It gives it nice and deep in the windows right there. And then once you finish with the basic colour correction you want to apply to everything, you go into your creative tab. You can, and I have in the past, used various ones of these. These all apply a certain look to them. You can adjust the intensity here, bring that bit down. You can have it just having a hint of it, no more. You can add a faded film look. You can sharpen up your footage slightly. As I said, I tend to leave it quite neutral on that because I like the softness. Your vibrance, if you push too far, looks garish and horrible, but if you just add a touch of it, majority of these are only touches that you add. If you just add a touch and then boost slightly with the saturation, I'd normally sit around 110 to 120, and that way you retain it without looking garish like the other one. So we'll go back to having no look on it. If you want quick black and white, there's quick black and white. Generally, like I said, I'll sit at 120 for this one. I like the red in the foam box. I want that red to punch and hit quite strongly. Then if you're wanting that filmic look as well, you can mess around with these. These put tints into certain areas, as the name suggests, into the shadows. and then you do your complementary split like in the previous video I done. There is a website for that, you'll find it in this video just here, for the B-roll tips and hacks. You can then shift your tint depending on what way you want, so you can go left for more highlight and right for more shadow. However, I quite like the cool look to this, so I'll set around we'll go 30. You can develop this further. So starting out with the colour curves, you can adjust certain hues themselves. So you can bring out the red in areas, you can tone back certain colours, the likes of blue you can take out completely or put in. It's not a very blue image overall, so we're all good on that front. You can vibrance up the greens, which is happening there, and you can go into separate colours themselves. It'll add the points for those colours. You can then go into further match and colour wheels, which you can tweak your shadows, boost your highlights, all that sort of thing. Depending on the depending on the tone you want, you can highlight your image and give you certain things a bit more, or you can go all out and change the whole tone of your image. So I quite like that, don't tend to use it as much. You can then go into your hue, saturation, luminance, further corrections, all of that sort of thing. After I've done that, I select that. I then, instead of using the denoise tab in the HLS colour, instead of using the denoise in here, I tend to use, or like to use rather, in the effects. This is something I have downloaded and paid for, which is Red Giant, and it is the Red Giant Denoiser 2. This takes out digital noise. In hindsight, that's not what I do. I right click and go into the properties, go into Nest, select OK, then go to your denoiser and pull that on top of the footage itself. Now this will select the frame here, this will select the frame that is got the most noise in it, and it will adjust accordingly. We need to go back in and change this because it's very yellow. If we move closer, you'll see it tends to be in areas of high contrast, and it'll just smooth it out. So once I go into this, I'm just going to edit all of these and take the yellow down a slight amount. Again, small tweaks make all the difference. So yeah, with that, hopefully it's helped. You'll have seen parts of the way of how I work. It's not been great, there's issues with it all, and I'm sure it's not the way that the majority of professionals do it. This is the way that I work, this is my process, and hopefully you can pick up some tips and tricks from this. If you have enjoyed, guys, please leave a comment down below, leave a like rating, and it would be much appreciated if you could subscribe if you want to see some more content like this in the future. But until next time, guys, keep it real, hunt the thrill, and I'll catch you in the next one.